This is the COSWHEEL GT20. It feels like a compact electric motorcycle you can actually live with day to day, with the kind of punch that makes hills and gaps in traffic feel simple. I put real miles on this electric bike because I wanted something powerful for short commutes and weekend rides that did not feel flimsy. If you are the kind of rider who prefers a confident throttle, wants stability over sketchy city pavement, and likes the idea of one machine that can handle errands, fun rides, and the occasional gravel path, this is your lane. If you want the lightest bicycle feel, or you are set on a traditional pedaling posture, this might not be your match. But if you want an electric bike that leans towards small motorcycle energy, we are speaking the same language. The design matters because it is what you live with. The frame is aluminum, finished in black with yellow accents, and it looks tough without being flashy. The tires are wide, about 4 inches, wrapped around 20-inch wheels, and those two details shape the whole ride. The fat tires and the dual suspension soak up broken pavement and speed bumps in a way that lets you relax your shoulders. It is not a featherweight. It is around 86 pounds, so this is not something I want to carry up a narrow stairwell or lift into a trunk alone. On the ground, rolling it around the garage or a driveway is totally fine, and once you are moving, the weight turns into stability. The seat sits at about 33.4 inches and does not adjust, which gives the bike its clean line but also means shorter riders may feel stretched. The cockpit keeps things simple. A large liquid crystal display shows speed, battery, and mode. There is a twist throttle on the right that behaves like a small motorcycle, and that one choice makes this bike feel very different from electric bikes that use a push-button thumb throttle. You also get a headlight and turn signals that are bright enough to make you stand out at dusk, and hydraulic disc brakes front and rear that give the kind of lever feel I trust at higher speeds. The battery is integrated and removable, which matters if you charge indoors. Setup was straightforward. Mine arrived mostly assembled. I mounted the front wheel, the handlebar, and the pedals, checked the bolts, inflated the tires, and took my time aligning the brakes. With careful pacing, it took about 1 hour. The packaging was tight and protective. The manual covered the basics, but I would have loved more detail on pedal assist settings and display options, so I leaned on a couple of setup videos to confirm torque specs and brake alignment. If you have built any bike before, you will be fine. If not, it is still manageable, but do not rush it. The first ride surprised me with how planted and smooth it felt. Rolling off with the twist throttle, there is a little surge of torque that makes the bike feel eager, then a short breath before it pulls hard. There is a slight delay between twisting and the motor responding. It is small, but if you are used to instant response, you will notice it. I got used to it after a day. There are 3 ways to ride. You can use the throttle alone for full electric, add pedal assist if you want a bit of exercise, or pedal without assistance if you really want to, though the weight and rolling resistance make pure pedaling more of a backup. I spent most of my time on throttle and low pedal assist. The liquid crystal display is easy to read in sunlight. Battery bars are large and simple. The controls for lights and signals are obvious, and the horn button is where you expect it. Performance is where the COSWHEEL GT20 sets itself apart. The motor is rated at around 1,000 watts and can peak higher. What that means in real life is this. From a stop, the bike gets to neighborhood speeds fast enough that I can merge confidently. And on a flat road, I consistently saw around 29 to 30 miles per hour on the display. That is more than most electric bikes can manage, and it changes how you use it in traffic. I am not weaving. I am flowing with cars on residential streets and keeping up on short stretches of main roads. The torque matters on hills. I pointed it up a couple of long climbs near my place, and the speed hardly dropped compared to other electric bikes I have tried. I still add a few pedal strokes on the steepest parts when I want to, but it is optional, not required. The brakes are the other half of that story. The hydraulic discs are predictable, with a strong initial bite and smooth modulation. Panic stops feel controlled rather than dramatic, which is exactly what you want at these speeds. Range is always the question. The battery here is a 48-volt, 25-amp-hour lithium-ion pack, and it is removable. I did not set up a lab test. I rode it like someone who has errands and likes to have fun. Over a week, I did 4 rides that were on the fast side, each roughly 5 to 8 miles with a couple of hills and plenty of throttle. The battery gauge barely moved after the first 2 rides and only started to drop after the third. For my use, that translates to several days of short trips without thinking about charging. When I did plug it in, a few hours later it was topped off. Removing the battery the first time took a minute to figure out. The fit is snug, which looks nice and keeps rattles away, but unlocking, sliding, and reseating the pack is a bit fiddly until you get the muscle memory. I tested it in a bunch of real scenarios that mimic daily life. Early morning coffee run on slightly wet pavement after a light drizzle. The fat tires tracked straight, and I did not feel the front wash out on paint lines. After sunset, the stock headlight and the turn signals made me feel more visible, and drivers seemed to notice the signals. On a mixed route with city streets, a little stretch of crushed gravel, and a rough alley with broken concrete, the suspension and the fat tires took the sting out of the chatter. The frame does not creak, the bars stay steady, and the only sound you really hear is a gentle electric whir and the tires on the ground. I paid attention to heat on the motor after a sustained climb. It was warm but not worrying. No error codes, no cutouts. The chain stayed on, the gears shifted cleanly, and nothing loosened up over the first couple of rides. Let me paint a specific use case. I have a short weekend loop where I grab a sandwich, swing by a small market, and detour through a park. It is about 12 miles end to end with one decent hill. With the COSWHEEL GT20, I twist and go off the line, keep a steady 25 to 28 miles per hour on the flats, and cruise up the hill at close to 20 without sweating. I lock it outside where I can see it, grab lunch, and then take the long way home through the park where the surface changes to a gravel path. I ease off the speed, let the tires and suspension do their thing, and enjoy the quiet feel of the motor. I came home with plenty of battery left and no nagging worry that I should have charged beforehand. That is the kind of ride this bike encourages. There are a couple of smart touches I appreciate every time. The motorcycle-style twist throttle changes the whole character of the ride. It is smoother and more natural for my wrist, and it makes speed control intuitive. The lighting package with a proper headlight and full turn signals saves me from buying and mounting aftermarket lights. The hydraulic brakes match the power of the motor, which is not always the case on electric bikes at this price class. The large display is clear enough that I can glance down without taking my attention off the road. The removable battery is practical for apartment living because I can bring it inside and charge it next to an outlet without hauling the whole bike. I also want to be clear about the trade-offs. The seat is fine for quick rides, but after about 30 minutes I start feeling pressure points and wish for a softer saddle or a suspension seat post. The riding position is a little upright and forward, which is comfortable for cruising but can feel different if you are coming from a traditional mountain bike stance. The fixed seat height at roughly 33.4 inches may not fit riders on the shorter side. The pedal assist settings are pretty basic and do not offer much fine-tuning. Since I use the throttle most of the time, that does not bother me, but if you want to use pedal assist for fitness, you might want more control. There is that tiny bit of throttle lag I mentioned. It is not dangerous and you adapt quickly, but it is there. The battery removal is tight until you learn the angle, and while the included manual covers the basics, a more detailed guide would help new riders. I reached out to support with a question about the display options and got a helpful reply the next day, so the human side is encouraging. When I step back and look at the whole experience, this feels like a purpose-built electric bike for people who value power, stability, and practical range over ultimate lightness and traditional pedaling. It is ideal for short commutes where you want to keep up with traffic, urban exploration where streets can be rough, and weekend family rides where you want the confidence to handle a hill without slowing the group. If you live on a third-floor walk-up or need to lift your bike into a car daily, the weight will be a challenge. If you are shorter than average, the fixed seat height could be a deal breaker. If you are okay with those limitations, the reward is a ride that is smooth, quick, and surprisingly easy to live with. That is my time with the COSWHEEL GT20. If this video helped you out, Please subscribe to the channel and drop a comment with your questions or your own electric bike experiences. Thank you for watching.